Glad you could join us for 7:30 News Bulletin. My name is Fales Chizombe. First, the headlines. Pope Leo XIV says Africa will unleash his ministry as successor of Peter. CSOs raise alarm over new CTF guidelines, say they defy court ruling on fund management. CDED issues ultimatum to finance minister over forex and fuel crisis. And in other news, South Africa court orders Zambia to return former president's body amid prolonged dispute over burial arrangements. We have more stories coming up, so do stay with us. Pope Leo XIV has said that Africa will greatly enrich his life and ministry as successor of Peter, and he concluded his apostolic journey with a farewell mass in Malabo Stadium. At the end of the Eucharistic celebration in Malabo, the Holy Father marked the close of his 11-day visit to 4 African nations, expressing gratitude for the opportunity to encounter the people of God across the continent. We have a Vatican News report read by Charity Chilanga.
Addressing the faithful, the Pope offered heartfelt thanks to the Archbishop, bishops, clergy, and the entire Christian community, whom he described as a people journeying in the land where the gospel has taken root for over 170 years. He reminded them that Christ remains the light of the nation, encouraging the faithful to live out their vocation as the salt of the earth and the light of the world. Pope Leo XIV also expressed appreciation to the civil authorities of Equatorial Guinea and to all those who contributed to the preparation and success of the apostolic journey. Reflecting on his time in Africa, the Holy Father said he has departed with an immeasurable treasure of faith, hope, and charity gathered through the many encounters and experiences of the visit. He noted that the treasure is made up of stories, faces, and testimonies, both joyful and sorrowful, which he said he will greatly enrich.
The Catholic Commission for Justice and Peace Malawi, in collaboration with its Zimbabwe counterparts, has expressed satisfaction with the operations of the camp court following a visit to Maula prison. The visit formed part of the organization's ongoing mandate to promote human rights, accountability, and access to justice within correctional facilities. During the engagement, the delegation observed court proceedings involving inmates and noted improvements in the handling of cases, particularly in relation to order, procedural compliance, and the overall conduct of hearings. Alison Banda has filed this report.
The CCJP delegation commended efforts being made to ensure justice processes within the prison settings are conducted in structured, transparent, and orderly manner. In his remarks, CCJP Zimbabwe coordinator Paul Muchena said he was impressed with the operations of the court camp, noting that it reflects positive progress in strengthening justice delivery within correctional institutions.
Official visit to Maula prison camp. I must say I was impressed as someone who is coming from Zimbabwe regarding the prison processes in Malawi, where at least legal office or legal processes, they find they are themselves coming to where those people are. Now this really fulfills the issue of the this process.
On his part, CCJP National Coordinator for Malawi, Lucy Msiadungu, said the camp court demonstrates encouraging process in ensuring that cases are handled in timely and orderly manner while upholding the principles of justice fairness within the prison system. He further recommended strengthening coordination between relevant justice institutions to ensure consistency in legal procedures and enhance efficiency in case management within correctional facilities. He noted that such initiatives are key in strengthening public confidence in the justice system, particularly among vulnerable groups such as juvenile and adult convicted inmates.
And prisons are trained in a number of ways in terms of resources to be taking the inmates to court time and again. So the process of having a camp court here, I think, is assisting that the inmates that are failing to go to the courts are able to access justice.
The CCJP delegation further observed that while the process has been made in operation of the camp court, continued efforts are needed to address challenges within the wider justice system, including case backlogs and limited access to legal representation. The visit forms part of a broader regional initiative by CCJP Malawi and Zimbabwe aimed at monitoring justice delivery systems and advocating for reforms that enhance human rights protections across correctional facilities in both countries.
Civil society organizations have expressed concern over newly introduced government guidelines governing the management of the Constituency Development Fund, arguing that they contradict an existing court order on the administration of the fund. The concerns were raised during a joint press briefing held in Lilongwe, where the organizations questioned the legality and transparency of the new measures. Speaking on behalf of the CSO's National Advocacy Platform, Executive Director Benedict Kondowe challenged the constitution process behind the formation of the guidelines. Emmanuel Georgia with the details.
Kondowe said the provisions appears to divert the significant from the directive issued by the court, raising concerns about the compliancy with the legal framework in the management of public resources. He further emphasized that the CDF, now pledged at approximately 5 billion kwacha per constituency, following the recent adjustments, remains a crucial fund for supporting local development initiative. Kondowe stressed that strict adherence to the legal and regulatory framework is essential to ensure accountability and prevent potential misuse of public.
Respect the guidance as provided by the Constitutional Court. That is very clear. But we do not have powers to pronounce that they are in contempt. But from what is happening, we are of the view that the guidelines have not respected that which the Constitutional Court had determined. So for us, we are seriously troubled because we expected that the guidelines would conform. It's about ticking the boxes as well, which in some respect, it would appear that that hasn't been the case.
The CSOs also called for the clear definition of the roles of the members of parliament, stating that their responsibilities should be limited to representation, facilitation, and lawful oversight without direct involvement in the administrative function of the CDF. The organizations, including the Malawi Economic Justice Network Magin, has since urged the government to review the guidelines and align them with the court directive to promote transparency, accountability, and effective utilization of the funds.
The Center for Democracy and Economic Development Initiative CDED has called on Minister of Finance Joseph Monamveka to publicly outline what the government is doing to address the country's economic challenges, particularly fuel shortages and the lack of foreign exchange. Speaking during a press briefing in Lilongwe, SIDED Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa expressed concern over conflicting statements from government officials regarding the availability of foreign exchange. The group has since given an ultimatum that the minister should either provide clear direction and solutions or consider stepping down from his position. Manoj Ocha has filed this report.
SIDED Executive Director Sylvester Namiwa noted that weeks ago, Mwanamveka assured the nation that Forex was available, but recently government spokesperson Shadrack Namalomba has indicated that the country is facing a shortage. Noting that the inconsistency has contributed to fuel scarcity, a situation that is now affecting many Malawians across the country, Namiwa said just as Namalomba came forward to acknowledge the challenges, Mwanamveka should follow suit to address the nation on the measures being taken to resolve the crisis. He has since given an ultimatum that the minister should either provide a clear directions and solutions or consider stepping down from his position.
A very delicate matter here, the lifeline of the economy. As you can see, the situation out there is not inspiring. Malawians are panicking, the economy is bleeding. So, in the interest of national interest, I think he will see it as a noble thing to do is to step aside without necessarily being waiting to be forced out of the office. Talking about making similar pronouncement and nothing happened, it is unfortunate that we personalize these issues. If you think that someone has started something very noble and due to one reason or the other is unable to proceed, this way we demand for active citizenship, so much that you should be vigilant enough to pick it up.
SIDED has since urged public officials to fulfill their responsibility and deliver on the mandate entrusted to them by the Malawians during the September 16 elections. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Georgia.
You are still watching news on Luntha television with me, Fales Chizombe. Before we proceed, another look at the headlines. April the 14th says Africa will unleash his ministry as successor of Peter. CSOs raise alarm over new CTF guidelines, say they defy court ruling on fund management. SIDED issues ultimatum to finance minister over Forex and fuel crisis. And in other news, South Africa court orders Zambia to return former president's body amid prolonged dispute over burial arrangements. Moving forward, Minister of Agriculture Loza Fachimbilizi says the government is in discussions with tobacco buyers and exploring solutions to address the higher rejection rates affecting farmers at auction floors. She made the remarks in response to concerns raised during the opening of the tobacco market at Limbe auction floors, where rejection rates have reportedly exceeded 95%, in some cases alarming growers. Judy Fogan has filed a report read in our studios by Kalista Kamendo.
Interview, Mbirizi noted that while contract sales have begun on a positive note, the auction system is experiencing major difficulties within minimum tobacco being purchased. She explained that the government has initiated one-on-one engagement with buyers to better understand the reasons behind the high rejection rates to identify sustainable solutions. Mbirizi ensured the farmers that authorities will step in to ensure all and so tobaccos is eventually purchased.
Here in Limbe, the market has not started well in terms of the auction side of it, but the contract farming side, the market has started very well. The auction side, I see that the rejection rate is the same all over, from Koma, Lilongwe, and here it's way above 95%, and that is very worrying. But I have assured the farmers that the president and my ministry is working very hard to make sure that all that tobacco is sold. And I've told them that we are a government, and the government will always find a solution, and we will find a solution, and that will be very soon.
Meanwhile, Tama Farmers Trust President Abel Kalimabanda has also voiced concern over the low uptake of tobacco at auction floors, warning that the situation is disadvantaging farmers. He said prolonged delays in selling tobacco could negatively impact its quality and lower its market value, resulting in financial losses.
My impression is that tobacco on contract marketing is okay, and I thank the buyers, including Tobacco Commission, because the buyers are offering better prices on the contract side. But on the auction, it's sorry here that the total consignment, only 3 or 4 barrels have been bought. This is not good for a farmer, because as time goes, the grade might change. Changing of the grade, it means even the price itself also will change, and the loser is a farmer. So it's my prayer to all relevant authorities, including government, to find other means.
Authorities maintain that addressing the high rejection rate and strengthening coordination between buyers and farmers will be crucial in stabilizing the tobacco market and safeguarding farmers' incomes this season.
Government says Malawi can no longer rely on traditional cash crops like tobacco and tea, stressing that the country's future lies in technology and innovation. Minister of Information and Digitalization Shadrack Namalomba says Malawi is already producing innovators capable of competing globally. He made the remarks on Wednesday during the ICT Innovators Awards, organized by the Malawi Communications Regulatory Authority (MACRA) at BICC in Lilongwe. Costas Kantemeni has filed this report, read in our studios by Adams Mwinolupembe.
Namalomba described the innovations showcased as transformative, citing solutions in agriculture, education, and assistive technology as evidence of the country's untapped potential. He has since called on government ministries, investors, and stakeholders to support young innovators, saying digital transformation remains key to sustainable economic growth.
Our country's problem. You see what? We cannot, in this age, we cannot grow and we cannot become what we aspire to become, that we should be self-reliant, we should be wealth inclusively, if we don't develop solutions locally. We cannot continue to import solutions. One, when we develop our own solutions, we are creating jobs. When we develop our own solutions, we are also saving on the forex. But also, most importantly, once we have developed those solutions, then we should be able to take them onto the world stage.
MACRA Director General Maanigo Nkoloma says the ICT Innovators Awards aim to identify talents and run innovations into viable businesses through stronger collaborations between academia, financial institutions, and industry experts.
It's a great day for Malawi as MACRA through the Ministry of Information, Communication and Technology. We have launched a National Innovation ICT Awards. This activity will be done each year with an aim of ensuring that we uplift our innovators. Malawi do have a lot of smart young people who knows how to use these computers and coming up with the solutions that can put forward Malawi, that can put Malawi forward.
ICT Innovators Awards winner Staff Noni says his assistive learning technology, inspired by experiences with visually impaired individuals, shows that persistent innovation can transform communities and the nation.
So basically, it's an assistive learning technology for learning of visual impairment. So it was something which was driven from my personal experience. Myself, my grandfather was visually impaired, and the gate where I was staying in Zimbabwe, I also had a girl who also had partial visual impairment problem, but she stopped going to school because of the same problem. So having started ICD, I thought of doing something that would help the visually impaired. So pretty much what we do is we just train the video teachers, teach them in a voice-based format on the national curriculum. So this allows them to interact with the...
Macro introduced the ICT Innovators Awards this year, attracting over 260 applications, with 2 winners selected from the top 20 finalists. Stafnini and Vision Tondoya will represent Malawi at an international innovation platform in Geneva.
The Ministry of Transport and Public Works has said the rehabilitation of damaged roads will commence once the ongoing procurement procedures are completed, noting that all identified projects have already been approved in the national budget. Ministry spokesperson Luntha told Luntha Television that the Roads Authority has already started the required procurement process, which are currently in progress, and that physical construction works will only begin after this stage is finalized. He made the remarks while providing an update on the ministry's area communication regarding plans to repair damaged roads across the country. We have more details in this report filed by Gift Kalonga.
Minister of Transport and Public Works spokesperson Laurent Kumchenga has reiterated that road rehabilitation will be carried out in line with public procurement regulations, with actual works expected to start once procurement is concluded. Kumchenga further explained that the Roads Authority has already launched procurement activities, which remain ongoing, adding that implementation will follow immediately after completion of the process. He also noted that all roads slated for rehabilitation were prioritized under the recently approved national budget.
The rehabilitation of damaged roads, as announced by the Minister of Transport and Public Works, follows established public procurement procedures. Commencement of physical works typically begins after the completion of the procurement process. In this regard, the Roads Authority has already initiated the necessary procurement processes, which are underway, and rehabilitation works will commence as soon as this stage is finalized. With respect to prioritization, all roads earmarked for this intervention are those that were approved in the recently passed national budget.
Minister of Transport Jap Muhango told Parliament on April 13, 2026, before it was adjourned Sunday, that government will begin road rehabilitation works across the country. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
And news from elsewhere. A court in South Africa has ordered the body of former Zambian President Edgar Lungu to be returned just hours after the Zambian government announced it had taken possession of his remains. The ruling marks the latest development in a prolonged dispute over his burial arrangements. This disagreement, which has lasted nearly 10 months, stems from tensions between Lungu and his successor Hakainde Hichilema. We have a BBC News report read by Charity Chilanga.
The Zambian government has long maintained that as a former head of state, Lungu should be honored vacantly and buried alongside his predecessors in the special presidential burial ground in the capital, Lusaka. However, Lungu's family wanted a private burial after negotiations with the government over the funeral arrangements broke down. Last August, the South African High Court in Pretoria ruled that Zambia's government could repatriate the body and give him a state funeral, an outcome that left Lungu's relatives visibly distraught in the courtroom. The family appealed against the decision, but in a surprise announcement late on Wednesday night, Zambia's government said Lungu's remains had been formally transferred to the state, by the South African court. According to the statement, the transfer occurred after Lungu's family were unable to proceed with their case at the appeals court. But just a few hours later, the same South African court ordered the Zambian government to return the body until the matter was packed to court on May 21st. To complicate matters further, Two Mountains Burial Services and the funeral will no longer accept the body and has asked the Lungu family to find an alternative. The former president died of an undisclosed illness aged 68 at a clinic in South Africa's capital, Pretoria. Lungu, who led Zambia from 2015 until 2021, had numerous roles with Hichilema, who was the opposition leader for many years before finally unseating his bitter rival. After Lungu's death, his family said the ex-president did not want Hichilema to be at the funeral or anywhere near his body.
That item concludes our today's news bulletin, but before we go, another look at the headlines. Pope the 14th says Africa will unleash his ministry as successor of Peter. CSOs raise alarm over new CTF guidelines, say they defy court ruling on fund management. CDED issues ultimatum to finance minister over forex and fuel crisis. In another news, South Africa court orders Zambia to return former president's body amid prolonged dispute over burial arrangements. My name is Fales Chizombe. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to tune in for the rest of our programs here on Luntha Television. Stay safe and goodbye for now.